Hey, sorry, I'm not in my normal location. I fell rock climbing and I can't get down the stairs to my office right now, but I'm fine. I'm rocking a cane. I'm gonna be back to normal in a couple of days. So, it's not break week, so it's not technically time for me to be doing a chapter discussion, but I've been talking about the live action a lot, which has been awesome, and I've loved doing it, and we officially have a season 2, which is amazing, but I just miss chatting about chapters, and the last couple chapters have been amazing, so here I am. Just check in with me on Mondays. They're always One Piece. Other than that, I guess I'm kind of unpredictable. I have loved the last couple of chapters, so I want to hit on some of the more minor things, like talking about the fights, talking about the character stuff, but then there's something more specific, larger scale that I want to talk about at the end of the end of this episode, so let's do that. So, beginning with chapter 1091, I love the way Oda is drawing his action scenes since he got his laser eyes installed. This full-page spread of the Admirals fighting against the sea beast weapons and this wider scale battle that we get to see unfold, but then also the smaller scale sections that we get as well, like with Baby Doll, who comes in and is just taking care of the Kumas, but also in the next chapter there's a lot of really great, which we'll go over, a lot of really great more minor things. But I think what Oda is, I mean, he's killing the entire Egghead arc in my opinion, but one thing that he's killing as well is his action is he's doing such a great job of showing these wider scale and smaller scale thing, but he's also capturing the emotion and the pain of it all as well, like the expressions on Kuma's face in chapter 1092 and the way that he's depicting the emotional toll this is taking on Kuma, on the Admirals that are having to face off against different characters, on all of that. He's doing such a good job of bringing the hype as well as the emotion. So we start off this chapter with Kizaru breaking through the barriers that apparently can't be broken through, but he can because he's light incarnate, he's a Logia. And I love the way Oda draws Logia powers always, but the way Kizaru looks, he looks incredible when he goes into light mode and super speeds to another location. The dripping light looks amazing. So Kizaru has to fight against Sentomaru. Now, in a previous chapter, we had one of the 5 elders telling him, go take care of things, and Kizaru requested, can I go in a different kind of way? Can I go in with honor? Can I go in giving Kizaru the chance to actually be able to fight back? He's someone I respect and I'd like to give him that respect. Thankfully he was given permission of that, but one of the bigger things that I want to talk about here, and really the bigger thing that I want to talk about in this video, is around the Admirals. So just know that me not talking in the beginning of this video, me not talking as much about the Admirals and the internal conflict that we're seeing from them, I'm going to cover it in a second. But he had this amazing fight with Sentomaru, which of course looked amazing with the explosions behind Sentomaru as he runs away, or the light dripping off Kizaru as he's chasing after him. Just absolutely incredible. And we also get the flashback that shows the broader context of the history that they have with him, both of them have with him, and the affection that Kizaru has for this kid. Just smiling and telling him you were adorable back then. He really cares about this guy. And then in the very next page, he's blasting him to complete knockout territory. Could have killed him, but it's One Piece, so we know. So Kizaru, after he gains control of being able to give commands to the pacifistas, he has the pacifistas leave and go assist in taking down the sea beast. So, and then he moves forward to continue to do what he's supposed to do, which this is when he makes it through the barrier and he's listing off his checklist of things to protect and things to eliminate, Vegapunk being the thing to eliminate. So again, we're going to talk more about the Admirals in a minute, but just hitting on some of the other excellent panels. Lucci, who I've been dogging on this entire arc, him trying to go in and handle Vegapunk on his own and Stussy standing in between them and taking the hit was an incredible panel. The sacrifices that these characters like Sentomaru and Stussy are willing to make for this man I think just brings so much more emotional stake to what we're doing here. It's not just the Straw Hats trying to protect this guy because Luffy is who he is. It's these people who have a vested interest in this man and who are willing to give their lives to people who are stronger than them. Like Sentomaru knows he's going into this fight against Kizaru and he's going to lose. Stussy knows what Lucci is capable of and she still dives in front of him. These are people who have relationships with Vegapunk and want to preserve his life. And then you have Kizaru the whole time asking questions like, since when did you side with pirates? Like realizing that there has to be something deeper going on here and asking these questions because he's not supposed to ask questions. And then we have the Straw Hats stepping in with Sanji grabbing the bubble gun and taking out Kaku, Zoro going blades to Shin against Lucci, holding them off, and then chapter 1091 ends with Luffy stepping up and initiating the attack against Kizaru. Lucci claims that they don't have a chance when it's Kizaru and Lucci against them, and Zoro says, then you don't know us very well. And Luffy, Kizaru, compared to 2 years ago, we're 100 times stronger now. He's hitting these amazing moments of action with the emotional drive of the fight so well. It hits that perfect hype point where it's like, let's go, let's watch this happen. We have seen Kizaru and what he's capable of and how he batted our Straw Hats away 2 years ago, but Oda makes us believe in them, you know, like we're sure, we know what's to come and we're so ready to watch it happen. Now, I want to, the next chapter goes straight into Kuma and his struggle, and again, what I'm saying here, like we've got the hype, but then these heavy emotional beats Oda is hitting perfectly. And this isn't new. Oda's always been excellent at this. I just want to hype him for a minute because these chapters have been so good. But watching Kuma being chained up, seeing the facial expressions, like the look on Kuma's face throughout the duration of these panels where we're watching him against against Akainu are incredible. The expressions plus the battle sequences and the intensity is the perfect mashup of explosive dynamic action and devastation. Once again, I'm going to talk about this further in a minute, but we have the Celestial Dragons who are furious and ordering Akainu around because they're not getting their gourmet food. And Akainu is addressing Kuma, telling him, if we can't maintain control of you, then we certainly can't afford to let you loose where you can be a danger to the public, which Kuma is wreaking devastation at this moment. You've lost your free will long ago, so if you're no different from a dead man, then where do you think you're going? And then he attacks, and you can feel the pain that Kuma is feeling. Obviously, Kuma does still have free will. I don't know to what capacity, but he's not operating like a dead man. That's such a reflection of the way Kizaru is viewing Kuma now. Like, you're already dead, you're already gone, so I just need to eliminate you at this point. So Kuma ends up pawpawing himself away, so he's traveling to somewhere. Obviously, the wider speculation is Egghead, because that's the most obvious answer, and I do agree. I imagine we're about to see him on Egghead, especially with the timeline of him having to take the time to travel, and this is a couple of days ago that all this took place. But again, Akainu tells him, or rather says about him, a mere puppet with no mind or will left. I'm gonna come back to this. Give me a minute. Finally, we cut back to Kizaru versus Luffy. I love seeing him in his Snake Man form against him and all the blocks that they're having to do. Like, you can see the speed in which this action is taking place. Once again, just in the last chapter, Kizaru asked Sentomaru, what made you partner with a pirate? Now he's talking to the pirate. What made a pirate like you try to protect Vegapunk? He's asking what their motivations are. He's trying to understand why they're giving their lives for this cause. And in response, Luffy says, that's my question. Why are you trying to kill him? And he says, I don't want to. I don't want to kill him. Obviously, I've known Vegapunk for a long time, so I'd appreciate you staying out of this. Again, give me a minute, because we'll come back to this. So Kizaru kicks Luffy away, kicks him through the robot and destroys it, kicks Luffy through the barrier twice, once again, questions people's motivations, wants to know, Bonnie, why have you had a change of heart? I thought you hated Vegapunk. Why are you on his side now? Why are you fighting like this now? He's asking these questions. And then he asks Bonnie to step aside. He says, I'd rather not hurt any more acquaintances outside of my mission parameters, and then kicks her through the barrier. And when he arrives in front of Vegapunk, and Vegapunk's reaction when he jumps up and freaks out, and then he says, this is really hard for me, Vegapunk. This isn't something I want to be doing. I'd rather not stretch this out. He admits, this is hard for me. I don't like this mission that I'm on. And then Luffy shows up, giant sun god Nika shows up, grabs a hold of him, tells him, whew, that was a bit spicy, had to be knocked through that barrier twice. And then the Iron Giant wakes up. Is it because of the drums of liberation that he hears from Luffy's heartbeat? Is it because Luffy is sun god Nika, so he's powering up the giant again? We don't know at this point, but we do know that the eyes are alight again. And okay, so for the Iron Giant, 200 years ago, he attempted to climb this wall that Kuma has been attempting to climb, that he's been working to get up all this time. Is it that Kuma did something that activated the Iron Giant, or was it truly something to do with Sun God Nika and the Drums of Liberation, or the power that he might have been able to provide to the giant? Probably the power, I reckon. But, you know, there's a couple of different options of what could have activated the giant again. Now what's the giant going to do other than get us off of Egghead Island? Now what's the giant going to do? What's its mission going to be now that it's been powered up back again? How much power does it have left in its reserve before it goes dead again? I don't know. I have many questions. I'm sure we all do. But I love seeing Luffy in full form. I love seeing him in action. I love seeing him go toe to toe with the man who once batted him away like a fly, and now he gets batted away again, technically. Like, he was kicked really hard and flew really far, but then comes back in his Gear 5th form and just grabs a hold of Kizaru and is like, thanks a lot for kicking me around, buddy. But at the end of the day, he's 100 times stronger than he was the last time. It's just so satisfying to see Luffy in this final form, facing off against these enemies that once near killed him, both Lucci and Kizaru. And in both instances, with Lucci, you've got Zoro and Sanji, well, with Lucci and Kaku, you've got Zoro and Sanji just easily, you know, being a blockade to them. And then you've got Luffy so easily just getting into his final form and grabbing a hold of Kizaru. It's just very, very satisfying to see these two enemies that near killed them so easily be taken out by them. Seeing our crew go back to old enemies and really not struggle, not really, is incredibly satisfying narratively. Like, we could have introduced new villains, but we didn't. We brought back villains that near took us out, and we're handling it with ease. Granted, maybe characters like Stussy and Sentomaru may disagree with me about the ease factor, but you know what I mean. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Admirals, because that was the other thing that I kind of wanted to mention, other than just, you know, acknowledging the hype and the excellence of these chapters. So the three Admirals that we've been paying attention to lately are all facing off against someone that they have a deep vested emotional interest in. We have Garp versus Kuzan, who they trained together. Garp was his mentor. He taught him to fight, and they care about each other. There's a genuine care for one another. There's Kizaru, who had to fight Sentomaru, who he cares about, respects, thought that he was such a cute kid and wants to fight him with honor. He cares about Vegapunk. He seems to have an interest in not harming Bonnie, even though he kicked her through the barrier. And we have Akainu and Kuma. Obviously, Akainu feels some sort of kinship to Kuma, or at least to his struggle with Akainu being bossed around by these brats, these absolute brats. There's devastation going on around you. People are dying, and you're concerned about your lobster. These men who will show up in front of Akainu watching this devastating scene of this man who is fighting for his life to get somewhere to do something and is having to be attacked and treated as if he's already dead, treated as if he has no free will when he clearly does. And they're over here saying, Akainu, we don't have our gourmet food. Fix this. He's a cog in the system and he knows it. And then he looks at Kuma and he sees him in his mind as some sort of puppet with no free will of his own, simply following direction. And that's exactly the way he feels about his own life. That's exactly what's happening to himself. Plus, he obviously has some sort of vested interest. I mean, I shouldn't say obviously. Plus, it seems he has some sort of vested interest in Bonnie as well, because he once had her captured and he was talking to her about, like, give up your dad, because he's given himself up to be a weapon of war. Bonnie fought with him, and then Bonnie somehow escaped without any issues. I don't know. It just seems like he has some sort of deeper relationship with both Kuma and Bonnie. He seems to care about them more than just, I gotta take out Kuma, he's some dead man walking. No, there's obviously, I say obviously, to me there seems to be something deeper going on there as well. So we have these 3 admirals that are all being faced with a battle that they don't want to fight, with a person that they don't want to have to attack. But because the powers that be say they have to, they have to. And it's no coincidence that many fans are acknowledging that each of these characters, especially Akainu and Kizaru, are showing far more emotion and humanity than what we've noticed in them in the past. Previously, they have seemed exactly like that. Wheels in the cog of the machine. Mindless, numb admirals that are willing to just follow orders and harm whoever it is that they need to harm. Even Kizaru, even Kuzan was like that with the Buster call, and he kind of had his own wake-up call. And I think what we're witnessing is multiple wake-up calls. We're seeing Kizaru, daggum, there's so many. We're seeing Akainu having to be ordered around by these snooty brats that are so out of touch that they're worried about their food supply over the devastation that's being wrought in front of them. And he has to face Kuma and he has to take him down when he's clearly suffering. He has to tell himself, you have no free will left, when he clearly does and is clearly acting on some sort of motivation. And we have Kizaru, who openly admits, I don't want to be doing this. This doesn't make me happy. There's nothing about this that I desire to be doing right now. And here's my theory, and I'm completely willing to be wrong. In the very next chapter, I could be proven wrong, and I'll take the L. But Oda is a very nuanced writer, always has been. He loves exploring many sides of issues, and he loves taking characters that seem to be just straight bad and write so much humanity and nuance into them. I think Fishman Island is an excellent representation of that. I know you don't like Fishman Island, but I do. I know plenty of people like Fishman Island. It's okay. But anyway, he is a very nuanced writer, and it's natural that he's not going to paint the Admirals as just this force, these mindless drones that work for the powers that be that need to be taken down. He writes them with this kind of care, where they're forced to confront what they have to do with people that they care about, where they'll openly say, this is not something that I want to do, this is something that I'm being ordered to do. And I think, and again, I'm willing to take the L, because this could be totally wrong, but I think what we're about to witness is some of the admirals, my guess is going to be Akainu, are going to be confronted with people that they have a vested interest in, that they still have to take down. They'll mourn the reality of their situation and they'll keep moving forward because of sunk cost fallacy, because they feel like they're a puppet themselves and they don't have a choice. Because fill in blank here, they'll keep moving forward despite what they've had to reckon with, the travesty of what they're doing, even to those they care about. And then there will be people like Kizaru, who I think are gonna turn. There are a couple of reasons why I think that. One being the conversation that he had with Luffy when he asked Luffy, why is a pirate helping Vegapunk? And Vegapunk goes, and Luffy says, that's the question I have for you. Why are you doing this? And he says, I don't want to. I don't want to kill him. Obviously, I've known Vegapunk for a long time, so I'd appreciate you staying out of this. Now, he could say, I'd appreciate you staying out of this. He could have said that specifically because of what he said at the end of the chapter, where he goes, could we just make this quick? Because this is not easy for me. So he could be saying, I wish you would stay out of this so that I could just get this over with and move on, because this sucks for me. That could be what he was saying. Or he could be saying that I would appreciate if you would get out of the way, because I'm not trying to hurt him. I obviously don't want to do this. I'm getting in here for a different reason. Point number 2, he told Bonnie, I don't want to hurt you. I'd rather not continue to harm my acquaintances outside of my mission parameters. And then what does he do? As soon as he said, I'd rather not hurt you, kicks her through the barrier that's such a big deal that it could potentially kill her if she's kicked through it. But what did he do right before this? He kicked Luffy through the barrier twice. So when he told Bonnie, get out of my way, I really don't want to harm you, was he just kicking her through the exact same spot that he kicked Luffy through, knowing that she would pass through the hole in the barrier and not hit the barrier itself, and he was just getting her out of the way so that she doesn't end up getting hurt like Stussy did? Like Stussy ended up being in the way. I mean, she put herself in the way because she was trying to protect Vegapunk, but maybe he was trying to get Bonnie out of the way because he didn't want her to be another casualty of this fight, and he was putting her in the same spot that he had just put Luffy through to protect her, because he knew that the barrier was already broken. Are you tracking with me? Do you hear what I'm saying? I know I'm reaching here. Now, when he goes to Vegapunk, when he gets in front of Vegapunk, he says, listen, your mission failed. I don't like this. This isn't easy for me, so let's get this over with. So again, I'll take the L if I'm wrong. I could be totally off here. It's certainly possible that he got to Vegapunk and he was about to say, let's make this quick. Let me kill you so that I can get back to the other stuff that I have to do, because this is hard. I just think that it would be very Oda to take the Admirals, the ones who have already done so much harm, who have already done so much damage to this world, and all of a sudden they're confronted with the human side of what they have to do, with the people that they have to harm, the people that they care about, the people that they have history with, the people that they have vested interest in, and they're confronted with the humanity that they're destroying. They can't just keep dehumanizing those that they're buster calling, or those that they're harming. They can't just keep saying, it's just more people, it doesn't matter, wheels in the cog, I'm a wheel in the cog. They can't keep saying that, because now they're faced with people who they have lived lives with, and they have to make the choice: do I continue to be a puppet, like I think Akainu is going to choose, or do I acknowledge I don't want to do this? And pirates are sacrificing are putting themselves in the line for someone that I care about. People that I care about and that I love, like Sentamaru, are aligning themselves with pirates so that they can protect the ones they love. What am I doing? And I could see the enemy, the Admirals. I can see the people that have already been wheels, that have been cogs in the system, having to make that choice, having to draw their line in the sand and ask themselves, where do I want to stand here? What do I want to do? And we'll see some that will continue to move forward, and we'll see some that will defect. We have Akainu, who I think is going to keep moving forward and accept that he's a puppet. And then we're going to have Kizaru, who is not, and is going to gain back his free will and his humanity and start making different choices for himself. I could be wrong, but it would be very Oda to take characters that are established to be going in one direction and completely shift them when they're faced with what they have to be doing in a very human level. What's going to happen with the Iron Giant? I don't know. What's going to happen with so many things? When are we going to get the Kuma flashback? I do think that Kuma is coming to the island. I still think that he chose to give himself up to be a weapon of war for Bonnie, to protect her, to keep her out of the fight. And maybe that's why Kizaru also is trying to get her out of the way so she's not a casualty of war because he respects Kuma. I don't know. There's so much speculation happening in this video. What do you think? I do know that I loved these chapters. I do know that I love what Luffy is doing with the Straw Hats, what he's doing with the Admirals, what he's doing with Bonnie and with Kuma. I'm devastated having to watch Kuma suffer so much. I don't know if he's going to regain his memories, if he's going to regain his free will, or, you know, back to a place where he can be a father to Bonnie again, or if he's already too far gone and he is going to die at the end of all this. But I'm really excited to see what Oda has to do, both with the more emotional sides of the story and the hype sides of the story. He's just blowing me out of the water with these chapters. So let me know what you think. What would you like to talk about? Stuff that I did mention, stuff that I didn't mention. I'd love to hear from you about these chapters. I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the review channel, which is always linked in the description. I do live reactions on my Patreon. That's also linked in the description. I'll see you again soon. Bye.